Good morning and welcome to Tuesday of Cows Week. I hope you're all faring well. I obviously apologise profusely for missing yesterday's due to IT troubles, and then the day kind of ran away from me a little bit. So the westerly is now come in because of this low, and we have a dying cold front followed by a trough. Now, I don't expect there to be rain involved. It's reasonably subjective and a bit of a dark art to know whether those clouds are producing rain. A lot of this is currently in the West Country, and to be honest, if we see some showers, it will be in the afternoon. So I think that's reasonably important. So yeah, there's obviously a chance of showers there, and I've told you, so I don't want to get into trouble in the bar later for anybody that didn't pack a raincoat. So it's a lot more sensible today. We see the westerly gradient wind, some reasonably high clouds to start, and then lower clouds as we kind of get into that kind of dying cold front. And what that does is the breeze is building and then stabilizing reasonably well with the kind of temperatures that we're observing. Not enough for an absolutely pumping sea breeze, but it's definitely there, and it's all in the same direction, which is great. So we're going to be seeing some kind of left shifts into into the morning, and then some smaller right shifts into the evening again as it drops. But it's not dropping as much as other nights, other evenings, and we're getting a lot of gradient wind. So actually, like early on, is looking pretty good as well. So apart from that, there's not much to say. Obviously, if the mainland heats up more, then we'll get more sea breeze. If it doesn't, then we won't. And then we're going to be very cloud driven. So that means that if we have a low cloud nearby, then we will get associated wind effects from that. Generally, I would have thought with a dying cold front that we would get a drop in wind, but that's not necessarily true. And so, yeah, no, it's definitely worth observing, and we can track that throughout the day. So let's look at some numbers. We have a pretty good build throughout the day. I've managed to color code this for all of you as well, so you know when red is slightly more scary than yellow and green, and then blue's just a bit rubbish. But what we're looking at here is a gentle left shift in the morning, and this is our patchy low cloud cover building. So 10 o'clock is kind of the time at which we start unlocking everything. And you see that this is all reasonably directionally stable. As we mentioned earlier, this is cloud driven. So any shifts and deviations from this are reasonably local and due to those cloud factors. Obviously, like if you're in a wind shadow or a convergence zone or whatever, then you will get variations of that. And we know that. So yeah, directionally super stable. I'm a big fan of this. Now we can see the wind is building throughout the day and then kind of staying high. Wind shear is reasonably unexciting. At 2 o'clock we got quite a lot, but I'm not really sure what's driving that. That could potentially be some low cloud in the model that's kind of throwing everything out. And speed shear again is reasonably unexciting. And that sorts itself out kind of later on in the afternoon, and which you'd expect with some mixing. Western Solent, very similar story, and yeah, we haven't got that. We haven't got that cloud influencing the shear. But yeah, this morning we've got some funky numbers on the speed. So yeah, that's just the mixing coming in and us kind of settling down. And we can see, yeah, a pretty pretty steady build all the way until kind of like 2-3 o'clock, and then that stabilizes throughout the afternoon, which we kind of know. Again, we've got that left shift, which we kind of know about, and we'll continue to talk about and monitor. But we've also got reasonably thick cloud at all levels at this point. So the Western Solent is generally going to be affected more by this, and we'll get the kind of local systems generally pushing most showers or anything north over Southampton, but you can't write anything off. So yeah, the Western Solent is going to be a little bit more prone to this than the Eastern Solent, but yeah, I wouldn't count my chickens too much. Again, directionally stable, wind speed stable. Eastern Solent is again really awesome. We've got 10-degree left shift over the period of like 4 hours, which is great, and we have again this steady build, which is lagging a little bit behind the rest of the Solent, which is fine. And these wind speeds aren't quite as high, and that's mostly because we just haven't got that propagation. So apart from that, if we look at the outlook, so we've got a west and a southwesterly day tomorrow, and as we can see, a little bit very similar in the morning, maybe a little bit more, and then in the afternoon it's significantly windier. Thursday we're kind of getting a west northwest, which again looks reasonably good, but you can't really count your chickens. And then Friday looks like a pretty low confidence day, so that's really important for us to manage. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you all soon.